and this is interesting, Dave Meltzer and AEW Derangement Syndrome. So, and he's making several tweets here, and when asked by a fellow tweeter why so many people on the internet, quote-unquote, hate AEW, Dave Meltzer had the following to say. Number 1, some hate anything different from what they grew up with. Number 2, they are taught to hate by bad faith people. Number 3, some have a mission to defend WWE thinking that means hating everybody else. And number 4, some listen to people who hate so much that they take on their viewpoint. So basically 2, 3, and 4 are exactly the same. So, which is sort of an astonishing thing to say, but I've got more before you jump in there. So apparently the only reason wrestling fans choose to hate AEW, or to at least not watch, is because they either refuse to move on from the past, or they have been convinced by outside forces that they must dislike AEW because it isn't WWE. So what galaxy is Dave Meltzer sailing around at this point to be this far away from the reality? I mean, you can just not like something for decent reasons of not liking it, but apparently Dave Meltzer cannot deal with the fact that somebody has not either convinced, they're not moving on with the times, or some other nefarious power out there has convinced you to hate AEW.
Well, in a nutshell, nobody in AEW looks like a star. Nobody. And you could name the stars in WWE. You know who the stars are. It's Cody right now. And of course, when he comes back, it will be The Rock. Of course, The Rock's he's in a universe all by himself. Roman Reigns, he's in a universe by himself now. They're gone right now, and they're still kicking AEW's butt.
Yeah, so there's Seth Rollins who's gone, there's Drew McIntyre who's still there, there's CM Punk, there's everyone in the bloodline now who are becoming stars, like Solo and Tangaloa and Tama Tonga and stuff like that. There are many, many people there. But the thing is, AEW has quite a lot of former WWE stars whose stock has dropped since going over there.
No kidding. Because your stock will drop when you go to, and I don't want to say this because I appreciate what Tony Khan has done. He did put his money where his mouth is. And he does pay those guys, I hear, very, very well. So I'm not going to knock him because he's a big wrestling fan, put his mouth where his money where his mouth is, and went out there. But the show it looks second rate to WWE's show. One of the things that make it look second rate is the lighting and the fact that nobody comes to the shows. The other thing, they showed a picture the other day of an AEW show, and on the hard camera side, usually they put tickets that haven't been sold that right there because they're shooting across. They're going to put all the people that come in on the far side of the hard camera. But this hard camera side, there was nobody in it, and it probably held like 300 people. Maybe a couple on the top edges, like 2 or 3 people in it. But it looked terribly empty and lonely too. But the show it's not lit well. It's not, I don't like their commentating. I don't like that. I don't like their interviews. I mean, it looks so independent when it comes to the interviews. I've seen some interviews, they were like 47 or 48 seconds. What are you going to get out of an interview out of 48 seconds? After you have an intro and a wrap up, hell, the talent's only got like 30 seconds to talk. What you going to get over in 30 seconds? Nothing. But if they can't see this, I mean, it's not my job to tell them about it. They know about it. See, I read about Tony Khan that he likes to treat this like when he was a kid and he had these little toy wrestlers and he puts main event on just cold. It has no heat behind it. It has no backstory to it. It has nothing. He just wants to see the match, they say. But you got to also think, well, how many people are thinking like, if I was Tony, I would think, how many people are thinking the same way I am, that I would like to see this guy versus this guy without any story of them appearing together, or no grudge, no nothing. I just want to see it, so I think everybody else should too. Well, it don't work that way. And now I also heard that Warner Brothers, Disney, is that who?
No, Warner Brothers Discovery.
Oh, Discovery, I'm sorry. They lost something, or they signed something. It was an NBA.
Yes, they've lost the NBA rights to, is it ESPN they've lost to? I can't, they've lost the rights to the NBA now, so that's going to be a huge dent in their viewership, of course.
And that was a big, big contract. And so that they may not make them want to renew AEW at the price it is now.
Well, I'm glad you asked that, actually, because do you think?
Well, see, that's what I'm here for, just to ask questions.
I didn't even write that down because I didn't think we'd ever get to it. But do you think, and we'll get back to AEW Derangement Syndrome, do you think that the fact that TBS now doesn't have NBA, is that a good thing because now they've got all this extra money to pump into AEW, for example? Or do you think it's a bad thing because maybe they just want to save more money on spending on sports or sports presentations?
I don't know what their thinking is, but wrestling's not burning the turnstiles. That's not burning that out. They're not selling tickets at the live events. So if it's not exciting to people on the ground, how's it going to be exciting to people on TV? Mm-hmm. I think they look at it for this programming, but they want programming that has a chance to grow. AEW's been there 5 years, and they've actually went back. They went downhill. They haven't gone uphill. And if you watch the show, even if you're a huge wrestling fan, there's so many questions that you can ask. Why don't they do this, or why don't they do that? Just by wrestling fans. That's not hating on AEW. That's AEW not giving the people what they want. And the people want it. I always say, tell a story. Because what the wrestling can miss, the story might be able to pick up. If you got a good enough story, they're going to tune in to see what's going to happen. But they have so many guys hurt and so many guys out. Right? I'm talking about WWE, the guys missing. They're still kicking their butts.
Well, AEW's the same in that sense. They've got so many people missing, like MJF or Adam Cole, or in fact, we're going to mention Eddie Kingston soon enough. But I want to stick to Meltzer's thing here. Do you think Meltzer's constant sticking up for AEW is actually a detriment to AEW in the long run? Is it going to put off some... No?
I think it is.
Oh, you think so?
Because he was so... I remember TNA, because I don't think anybody kissed his butt other than Dixie, I guess, when I was there. But he never did us any favors. He never said, no, good show, this, that, and the other. He was always nitpicking. And you can nitpick something to death. So when I say something about AEW's lighting, that's not nitpicking. That's a big deal. Because it makes it look cheap. Very cheap. So, but I think he goes out on a limb by himself that said, well, it's better than what the people want to say it is. Well, they're just go by the ratings. The ratings will tell you how much the people enjoy the show. And if they don't enjoy the show, they're not going to watch it.
On a recent Wrestling Observer Radio, when asked what AEW needs to do to bolster their chances of getting a good deal with... Oh, by the way, I think it might be NBC that NBA is going to... I'm sorry, I can't remember. What AEW needs to bolster their chances of getting a good deal from Warner Brothers Discovery when the TV rights renew. Dave Meltzer's advice was essentially stay on the course and do more local promotion for house shows and TV tapings. Nothing to do with... That No,
stay on local promoting may help a local show. Yes, I'm agreeing with him there. But how does that make a network want to re-up a contract at a higher price?
Well, exactly. There's nothing about, as you say, improving television production, which it definitely does, booking satisfying long-term storylines, closing creative loopholes, sort of explaining why people are being left off TV for no reason for two. Ricky Starks was out recently and said, I wasn't injured. It was reported that he was injured a couple of months ago. He was with Big Bill as a tag team. They were recent AEW champions. And all of a sudden he disappears. I think he had a bit of a scary bump, but said he was fine. And now he's just been left off TV for 2 months, and he's no idea why. Sammy Guevara is off suspension now. He's not back on TV.
I'm assuming these guys have gone to Tony themselves and said, why? I'm ready to go. Well, can you give me a start date, or can you? And apparently they don't even have that.
No. It's like with Punk when he was injured and they didn't even sort out with the triceps injury, and they didn't even sort out any medical stuff for him. He had to do it all himself, which is, he's a big boy, he can do it himself. But if you get injured in an AEW ring, the company should be sorting this out for you, surely. And the same with Miro, Rusev. He doesn't know why he's being left off TV all the time, and they didn't even Tony Khan didn't even realize he was injured. So when he tried to call him up for this Meat Madness thing recently, he called up Miro and said, "Let's do it." And Miro's like, "Dude, I've been injured since January," and didn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's getting off the thing here. I'm going to give you this quote by Mike Johnson of PWI. Wrote some 10 days ago as his theory as to why Meltzer shills so hard for the number 2 brand. Meltzer has said for years that if a Japanese-style, work rate-based product ever came along to the United States, it would become the product, because that's what wrestling fans really wanted to see. He thought that because he liked it, that would have to mean that the masses do as well. Yes, hubris at its worst. He staked his reputation on that belief and made a number of statements about how AEW...
Wait a minute, I like that word, hubris.
Hubris, I like that word as well.
Nerve.
The nerve of it. He staked his reputation on the belief that and made a number of statements about how AEW would show the world he was right when they started, and he has been proven 100% wrong. My belief is that his cheerleading for AEW is not about promoting Tony Khan, it's about him desperately hoping that he can be proven right about having his pulse on the wrestling business, while probably realising deep down inside that he doesn't. Too harsh? Or does it sound about right to you?
No, that's about right. That's about right. Because he goes to Japan, he thinks Japan is...
No, I go to Japan.
Oh, you do. But, and he thinks by bringing that style here, they brought that style here. And the people say, American fans are different than Japanese fans. Japanese fans are different than Mexican fans. They're all different and they like different things. So if you're the booker of a territory, wouldn't it be to your benefit to know what your fans pop to or they like and give them that instead of trying to institute a new brand? That bringing that mat worked Japanese style of the U.S., I think it would bomb. Because, see, they've had wrestling on TV, it's 1950, 70 years. And a lot of it still hasn't changed. It's still the story, and you got the showmanship, the entrance, And I think lately that WWE, not before the new people took over, but look at WWE. They were going downhill fast, a year and a half ago when Vince was still in there? Mm. So, and I was dreading having to watch their show. I watch their SmackDown show every Friday night because I'm paid to watch it. That's the only reason I'm going to watch it. But now the show is kind of enjoyable to watch because they have put some thought behind it, and you can tell that. And where WWE is getting better now, and this is better than just a mat-based product, is because they have the little things. You know, they're bringing that out on commentary. See, if you're thinking something about, well, this happened or that happened, but they can bring a little thing that they may have mentioned before, but at least they cover it. But a lot of times that they would just run by it and hope that the fans get it, which they don't. And look at the ratings. When The Rock comes back in 6 months or however long he's going to be out, and Roman comes back, they're going to explode because they're going to be hyping that for 6 weeks. The closer it gets, the stronger it's going to get. And I expect almost, I don't know what the rating will be, but if they do it right, they'll do over a 3, maybe a 3.3. That's a huge rating. A huge rating. That's like 5 million people. To get 5 million people to watch that show, that would be, I wonder what he would say with that. And The Rock he doesn't do his mat work on the mat. He tells the story. And he's good to listen to, and the Roman too. So we'll see. And I think Meltzer is about 100% totally wrong. I think he's been in the wrestling business too much and watched too many matches. And I think he
colors your judgment, that, doesn't it? When you watch too much wrestling, it completely changes what you're hoping to see.
See, somebody asks, how much do you watch wrestling? I watch it very little, really, because I've seen about all you can see. But now, if they do something good and the talk is going, hey, you got to see this, you got to see this. Well, yeah, I'll go over there. But they got to do something pretty well out of the ordinary or pretty extraordinary for me to watch it.
Yeah, I think the perfectly legitimate criticisms of AEW and WWE. There's always going to be people who hate WWE or hate AEW just because they've got nothing else in their lives, I guess. And there's most people will criticize AEW because they want to get it better. They don't want to see it go away. They want people to have jobs. They want a proper wrestling war, and they want to see it get better and improve. And just little things like, you know, a bit of improved production on maybe not quite on WWE's level, but just some creativity. Like, as we were saying, Joe Hendry, a great little idea. What you did in Puerto Rico so many years, great ideas, and they're simple things. Bit of consistent storytelling. I'm sorry, Dutch, I bowled over you there. What were you going to say?
Well, I forgot now.
All right.
No, remember about, I don't know, a year and a half ago when WWE was in the slump?
Yeah.
AEW was doing pretty good. They were growing, and I don't know what got into them, but their product became, I'd rather watch their show than to watch the WWE show because they showed some creativity. And of course, WWE was in the slump. Their ratings were down. And this was the time for AEW to really step out, and they missed it. They missed the curve. It was going too fast going into the curve, and then WWE, the change went into effect, and now they're back on the sucking on the hind tit, as they say, as they say on the pig. But see, you gotta get on an opportunity when it presents itself. But see, when you talk about Tony Khan, he's not wrestling people. He's a fan with money. So, and I think maybe in his head, he likes certain things, which is fine. But if you want to try to book a company, you better have the total thought processes of the masses in your mind, because you just can't book on what you like. You can book a match or two. That's where the women come along. They used to book women in WWE just as an afterthought. We'll give the damn perverts out there something to to go, we'll book this girls match. And it wasn't until I got to the knockouts kind of got over that they kind of started looking at it like, well, maybe these girls do have a place in pro wrestling. And they do.